Let me tell you guys who the NRA actually represents. So they're dead set against any of the proposals that Biden and Obama are proposing. Now, when you go to their website, they say, well, look, the NRA is not affiliated with any firearm or ammunition manufacturers or with any businesses that deals in guns and ammunition. Oh, is that right? Well, they're not affiliated.
I don't think that they know what the word affiliated means.
Yeah, there's some chance that they don't. So now, one thing that's true is that the NRA was not always in league with the gun manufacturers. In fact, they were for gun control earlier in their existence.
Yeah, and the Republicans freed the slaves. Whatever, times change.
No, I hear you. So what happened was Adam Winkler, who's a professor at UCLA, did a great analysis of this, and the NRA got taken over in like a coup overnight, literally overnight in the late 1970s by the right wing, and they said, okay, we're now going to go in favor of, we now think the Second Amendment means unlimited right to guns, which the NRA did not think before that. Okay, so all right, so they win, that's fine, and they go in that direction. Later, actually, much later, in 1999, Charleston Heston, who's the head of the NRA at the time, starts to connect the NRA not to gun owners, but to gun manufacturers. In fact, he goes to a meeting of gun manufacturers and lobbyists and says, quote, your fight has become our fight, okay? For the first time connecting the NRA directly to the gun manufacturers. Now, that's okay. When the money comes in, that's when everything changes. So they did an analysis after 2005, and that's when the NRA really got into bed with the gun manufacturers and fighting a lawsuit together, okay? And so then, here's what happens next. Gun manufacturers put in $14.7 million to $38.9 million from dozens of gun industry giants, including Beretta USA, Glock and Storm, and Ruger, etc. So they get this tremendous amount of money from these gun manufacturers, and by the way, they're also on the board. They're the major donors.
Right, but they're not affiliated.
Not affiliated. Right. We just happen to take tens of millions of dollars from them. Oh, and by the way, another way that the NRA makes a tremendous amount of money is the ads that they put in the NRA magazine, which are also bought by gun manufacturers. So what happens? The NRA then turns around and helps to kill the assault weapon ban, as they did, and that they had begun to work together there, and as a reward, partly, all this money pours in from the gun manufacturers. And since the assault weapon ban has been killed in 2004, well, rifle sales have gone up 38%. And so gun makers are ecstatic. I mean, because it went right to their bottom line. They put in money to the NRA. The NRA helps them in their causes, whether it was the lawsuit, whether it was the killing the assault weapons ban. Their sales go up. It's a great investment for them. And one thing that I always thought was like, come on, this has got to be the easiest thing. About 3/4 of the country agrees with this already. It's a layup. Most of gun owners agree with it. Limit the amount of ammunition you could put in a magazine, right? Because that's what's in the massacres. That's the thing that's doing the most damage, because they could fire 30 or sometimes 100 bullets without reloading. The 30 is the most common, and it's crazy, right? Well, the biggest donor to the NRA, $7.7 million, is Midway. And what does Midway do? They produce the magazines that have more than 10 bullets.
The high-capacity magazines.
High-capacity magazines. And they're the top donor to the NRA. Gee, I wonder why the NRA fights out legislation which a great majority of gun owners agree with. Because they don't represent the gun owners, they represent the gun manufacturers. And they get paid to do so.
Can we just talk briefly about the fact that we apparently in this country just take it for granted that there should be a permanent gun manufacturing industry in the country? Like we have, for instance, we have toilet paper manufacturers, because we hope that every year they'll improve toilet paper a little bit better, and you always need it. Same for motorcycles. They make the motorcycles a little bit better. Your motorcycles wear out, you get new ones. But we don't need better guns every year. You can pretty much F a deer up now with what you've got from 50 years ago. Like, you don't need a better scope or a bigger magazine. You can shoot, an intruder with a shotgun with a gun from 30 years ago. It doesn't need to be better.
Deers are smarter.
They're
today.
Evolving? No, they wouldn't acknowledge that.
They're more agile.
Armor-plated, perhaps.
Right,
I don't know who's putting the vests on the deer, but it's really hindering the hunter's efforts. But because they exist, they cannot simply rely on the fact that they sold a lot of guns 30 years ago. And so their focus is always, this year we need to sell more guns, and next year we need to sell more guns. And that is insidious, and yet we take it for granted. It should just exist. This is America.